Yo, 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 what up, what up, what up, what up? Kunal here, Bulls on Wall Street. Guys, hey, happy Monday. What can you say, man? The market is still on the grind higher, and, we're not seeing really any signs of weakness just yet. We saw some on Friday. Look, on Friday, it looked like maybe there was some kinks in the armor based on the PLTR news and some of the tech sell-off, but it got bought up. What ended up happening on Friday, right, we dumped off, and then lo and behold, AMD announced some news with OpenAI, and, you had a 50-point gap, and so the whole Qs and, tech market opened up really, really strong. And then, they kind of farted around for a good chunk of the day, but it doesn't matter. A flat day in a bull market is, where it just like sits sideways, the index. You'll still get a ton of runners. It just becomes a stock pickers market, a breakout market where there's like really good charts and thematic plays that go. And we saw that today, like, even with the Qs just kind of humping around and, right, look, the IWM, which is supposed to be your mid cap, small caps, right? It doesn't represent mid cap, small caps. They were all flying around minus whatever's in IWM. IWM should do something where they change around what's in it, right? Because it's the fucking thing never moves. But dude, you saw huge moves in, what we'd call, I don't know, future, right? Future space galactic tech or whatever, right? Future space galactic tech is like your electric helicopter taxis, your quantums, right? Like nuclear stuff, right? Like, that kind of thing. And so these were all going, we had this in the chat room at like $12 at the open. I fucked up the trade a little bit, but I mean, these things were just going crazy, right? You have like Joby and, battery stocks, butt plug, really going nicely, right? Like even stocks like Blink 182, up 30%, man. Like, that's like, the Blink 182, like when that picks up the bid, like when Blink 182, F-Cell, like these stocks, I've been shorting these stocks, like, at the end of bull runs, since I had, hair like Bradley Cooper, and I used to flow that thing back and, smoke, Parliament lights, right? Man, nice days, man. Those are nice days. But like, look, and it's only $2. The last time it went on a run, it got to $70, right? So, we may look at this and think short, but that's not the way the market really rolls right now. So, the market is hot. Future tech is kind of the thing. Out of the mega caps, I don't know if there's that much that looks that good, but they're holding up too. So let's just take a look before I get into my actual watch list. Let's just take a look at a couple of the mega caps just so we get a view of the market. NVIDIA here is retesting its breakout spot. So, the structure of that trade is there. AMD faded, some of its gap here, 10, 20 points. Most likely, let's see, look, it ran right into the old highs. Resistance is resistance for a reason. It is probably going to, take some time to back and fill some of this area. I'll give you a case in point. Like when you get these big caps and they gap up too much, lately they've been like, it's almost been like a liquidity portion where like they just kind of it back out. And, like you're kind of seeing this, like I spent like weeks staring at this stupid AVGO. Sorry for the swearing. Weeks, the AVGO had its earnings out and then it was like, oh man, this is like going to be this is going to make it the Mag 8, right? And now it's just been kind of like weeks and I'm like, it's doing something, right? But it ain't doing anything that I can purchase, right? So, I think, some of them are looking okay. I would say out of the group, my preference would probably be more on Microsoft. I think this is something, let's see, it's starting to round out a little bit. You could go on Microsoft, couple weeks out and get like, the 540s or something, right? Like that's about 1 day's worth of ATR, 2 days worth of ATR. And, that's about $3. So like, not too crazy. It's been compressing for some time. So I think out of the large caps, I think that Microsoft looks okay. And then, I think Google has also got a little bit of a flag pattern here. So this one I've been looking at for, next week too, the 255s. And I think that'll be kind of the magnet You could go even a little bit further if you want. But, I think the 255s will be okay. You got earnings coming up, so you don't want to get too close to the earnings because they start getting a little bit pricey. But, it's been weird times because all the options on Google used to be like, a buck, right? Now these things are going up. But so it's ATR's $5. So you could go out to if you wanted this week, you could go out about 1 day's ATR, so 239. I don't go up more than 1 day's ATR, and the main reason is that I'm primarily a day trader, and I only swing if I have a big cushion, at least in options. I rather swing trade commons because I can use a stop loss, I can sell in the pre-market, post-market. It just gives me more options. I get it in a hot market, the options traders are really fucking, banking, but not really my particular cup of tea. Now let's go just into the regular old stocks here. This company's a turd, but look, it based out for 2 weeks here. It's clearing out some ranges. It looks like it's got, whatever supply of shares were here. It had a lot of chances to break down right here, and it didn't, right? So I think you got the $11 in the cards here. And anytime something's look like a short, right, they're not falling, right? Case in point, this weekend, everybody's RGTI, look at their office building. That's all over the Twitter, right? People are posting pictures of office building. It's yeah, let's see your fucking office building, right? Of course this company's a turd. Who cares, right? That's besides the point. So, it dipped down for a second, sucking into shorts, and then it just, squeezed it higher. For me, I'd like to see more of a blowout before I try this. I thought, somewhere around here there was a short, when you judge the distance between price and 9 EMA. Now we're $7 over the 9 EMA, so it's about 2 days worth of ATR. I like to get kind of 3-4 days worth of ATR above the 9 EMA. I think that gives you a good solid spot to short. We're about 2, so it would really, if it gapped up say $5 tomorrow, maybe we could take a little gander. But you kind of need to see a little bit of a blowout in it, I think. BTQ, dude, we were loading the boat on this a couple weeks ago, and then I sold it. This is first of all, this is a cool company because you think it's a crypto stock, but it's also a quantum stock, and it probably does nothing. But it's got a 6 setup here, right? You got flat top breakout here. Watch for any kind of weakness on this to back and fill some of this area tomorrow. If it does, we might be able to snag some, right, for the long. You got a breakout spot over here. It's not in a normal market, this wouldn't be some hot flag. It really wouldn't. But in this market where everything is just getting ripped up, I think probably we can do this one. OUST. It needs probably a couple more days, because it's up 4 days in a row. This is ideally you get a little bit of a hanging chad here. Tighten up this range a little bit. Let that EMA come up. And I think that sets up sorry, I was about to say the F word, but I did it. That sets up the little Nike swoosh that breaks out around 35, and I think we'll be in a good location. AAOI, we were messing around with this one in the morning. The range on this was incredible, 10 million shares in volume. Still not too far from the base, and you got room to about 40, 45. The float on this is tiny. It's... Even though it's a $30 stock, it's still just a $1 billion market cap. In today's day, look, you can have, if you've got a solar-powered dildo system, you're getting $10 billion market cap. This looks cheap, if you look at it that way, right? Serve, this is the robotics company. This is, right, your future space galactic tech sector. And, you're breaking multiple kind of levels here. And so keep an eye on this one. This is another one. Let me just say something about breakouts. I don't like when stocks break levels and they're too far from its 9 EMA. See, it's 2 days worth of distance from the 9 EMA. So what you need to do usually if you want something sustainable is to have some kind of narrow range day or inside day. And what that does is it kind of lets the EMA catch up, and then you get this narrow range day. And then that kind of gives you... right? Those kind of multiple tests of resistance that you need to break it out. So this is on the watch list, but say it gaps up out of this range tomorrow. I'm not like buying that, right? Like I'm not buying that because it'll be too extended. SoFi Swigger, we had this on watch list yesterday. It triggered a swing trade today. I think Paul added in our swing trade part-time trader group today too. Retested the 50, green candle to hold. Obviously my candles are white because it's nighttime and I can't see, so I just make them white. But dude, you got to hold on the 50. I think it's at a good spot. APP had some news out here. I don't know how to react to that. We got to let the price kind of dictate it. It was 750. It says retrace to $250, but what you need to do, I want to see this thing. If it comes down into like 500, this old breakout spot, and you fill this gap, that's multiple pieces of kind of technical analysis tidbits that you'd want to see before, maybe I look at it for a potential bounce. I get it today. It dropped big, and in this market, something just drops and you buy it, like you feel like the smartest guy in the world. But the truly like a good setup would be like, if it's near here in the 800, it gets down to 500, you got your 50, you got your lower Bollinger Band, you got this gap fill here. Then you really have like kind of a prime time, setup where I think you could get some, bouncy McGee's. NNE, we were playing this today in the Boom Boom Room. At a breakout. Now that once again, this is on 1, 2, 3, 4 days. So like if it gaps up tomorrow, it's unplayable. The only thing you can do is if it comes down weakness into here, right, then you can back and fill this, and now you got something that's sustainable. If you run too hot into the breakout, the breakouts fail. ACHR, this is a beauty. Third test of resistance here. To give it one rest day here, maybe even two. And I think you're really going to be, happy with this kind of sustainability of the breakout. If it gaps up tomorrow, it's unplayable because you'll be on a day 4 of a gap up. Guys, if you gap up on day 1 and 2, you're fine. You can chase the breakout a little bit. You can do an opening range breakout, first pullback buy, something like that. If you gap up a 1, 2, 3, 4, you gap on day 5, and you're this far from your EMAs, it's almost always going to roll over for a portion of the day. If the market wasn't so hot, that I would actually short that. But it's not a good market for shorts. I was trying to short RJTI a couple of weeks ago, and it was too much fucking stress. Too much stress, man. I was like, what? I would rather miss 1 day's worth of short than have, just try to keep timing things over and over. Oscar looks great. We've been putting on this watch list for a little bit of time here. Had a really nice day today. I think you got good volume on this, 22. Look at the base on this thing. And you're taking out these ranges here. Like you've got yourself a good spot there. Like that's a great setup right there. Google we talked about. Crowd, watch this 500 level here. You're kind of basing out into this. If it takes it out, then you're ripping 520 into 520 that day. And then, it's really off to the races as you take out those highs. PanW, some of these software stocks look pretty good. PanW, D-Dog, both of these have like some interesting setups. A little bit more kind of trender, grinder plays. Not necessarily day traders. Like the ATR in this is 2% per day. But these are like the type of stocks that I would normally swing trade or like stick in my IRA. It's nothing sexy, but it kind of pays the bills. Hey, this bullish. I've been putting this on the watch list for a little bit of time. This is Peter Thiel's one. It's probably a big scam, but dude, you got yourself like a, just a little, right, little W bottom that's just hanging out here. If it can clear out this spot here, the way that this thing is kind of making the higher lows and swooshing through, let's call this 68, 69, boom, boom, boom. I think you're in for it. So that's the list. Nothing crazy sexy. And watch for blowouts too. If you get a big blowout in plug or F-cell, like if any of these gap up like 20, 30% tomorrow, that's when okay, the silly season's about to end. Same thing with RGTI or, QBTS. Right now, they're just going up a lot, right? But they're not necessarily like parabolic because they had these like kind of 3, 4, 5 day consolidations. If they had just gone up from here straight into the 35, sure. But because they went up here and then they consolidated, right, that allows you the steam to build the next legs. the consolidations usually, take away the short play. So if you want to short something like this, you really got to like get another day, or just have like one big gap day where it's like here. Almost like how AMD gapped up today, right? Like it's just so fucking big that nobody's going to buy that shit up there, right? So just something to kind of keep in mind of. I love you guys. Dude, peace in the Middle East. Dude, trade well. Enjoy this market. Try your best to, take out some profits and, don't feel yourself too much. We've seen this a few times in the last 15 years. And it's not your money till the taxes are paid and money's in your bank, and you do something nice with it. I've seen dozens of people over the years make 7, even 8 figures that, when the bull market ends and they're looking for jobs because they didn't manage all of that right. So just kind of be mindful of that. I love you guys. Peace. Enjoy all this. It's fun.